Bush SF90 SuperFerro. Is it the same as a SuperFerric? Well, I've heard a lot of talk about SuperFerrics on a certain channel where they stick them in a dragon and see how good they are. Well, they're only proving how good the dragon is anyway. How good is a SuperFerro or a SuperFerric? Is this a SuperFerric? Well, let's have a look and see. So first of all, we'll have a look and see what's what, and then we'll have a listen to some music that's been recorded on it, and then we'll have a look at the results of the tests. See what actually happens. Let's see if it matches up with what it sounds like. Yeah, all that sort of good stuff. Anyway, let's get stuck into it. As you can see, the J card is quite nice. It's got lots of slots, so you can put lots of writing on it, as this one originally had on it. And the case is reasonable. It's quite nice. It's one of the squared ones. Now you can see it's got a clear shell. It's actually quite rigid, but it's not as rigid as a BASF or something like that would be. Let's have a look at the tape here. It's nicely calendared, and it's got good shine to it, and it's very, very dark. That is a good representation of how dark it is. Bearing in mind this is a ferric. This is a type 1, not a type 2, so that is very, very dark. And although I don't know exactly how old it is, it's certainly from the 80s. You can see there that it's got the pads and everything still intact. It actually looks like it was looked after by whoever had it before, and it's been looked after since. And it's good. Labels are on there. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws, so you can take it apart if you need to. Although, judging by this one, I don't think it's necessary. I've rewound it and fast forwarded it, and it seems okay. And there's the original labels label, which I think just tells you stick it on. But if you get one of these as a NOS, that's what you look to see if you can get. There, it tells you how to stick a label on. Bush wouldn't normally give Bush house room, not nowadays, but in the old days it was one of the big brands. Got some music from the YouTube library from Nathan Moore, and first of all it was recorded quite hot, and then I've wound it down a bit, and you can hear the quality. That was recorded very hot, so let's have it at normal. Peaking at 0 dB now. I think you can hear that sounds a lot better than it did on the high level recordings. But I'll do some comparison A-B later on at the end after we've gone through the figures. We'll start with the 0 dB white noise, and then we look at the minus 20. You can see there's a slight difference, not unexpectedly. The pink noise is looking quite good, and if you look at the minus 20 dB, it's looking pretty linear, so that's alright. And that brings us on to the minus 75 dB silence, or noise, whichever way we look at it. That's not as good as it could be. This is interesting, things are starting to fall into place here. This is a 1 kilohertz at 0 dB. We've got third harmonic and fifth harmonic distortion, but what on earth is this lot up here? Looking at 3 kilohertz, it's got a similar pattern, but then hang on, what's that and that? The first one's the third harmonic distortion. What's that other lump? Let's look at the two together. Right, let's see how these things line up. That and that is not the same as that and that, although it looks the same, and I haven't been able to work out what it is. The minus 20 dB 1 kilohertz looks fairly normal. However, the 3 kilohertz got a little bit of, but nothing to worry about. So that brings us on to frequency response, and look at this, 0 dB. It's not that good. The peaks aren't very big, and then the minus 20 dB, the peaks are actually relatively bigger, and but look how high it goes. For a ferric, its response is pretty reasonable. It goes up to 19k, but that's on the 0 dB. You can see it's a flatter response than the minus 20, much more worth having. But you decide. What follows will be the MP3 original and the tape recording, and you can decide which one you like the sound of best. Okay, that's it. So, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.